Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I invite you to open your heart, to silence the noise of the world, and to step into a moment of divine connection. You are not here by accident. There is a force greater than your fears, greater than your pain, and greater than anything that has ever tried to break you. We all carry wounds, some visible, some hidden deep within. But what if I told you that God is ready to touch your hurt, to breathe life into your soul, and to ignite a holy fire within you, a fire that burns away doubt, fear, and limitation, a fire that transforms pain into purpose and suffering into strength. So tonight, we don't just ask, we believe. We don't just hope, we surrender. And as we pray, we invite God to move within us, to heal, to restore, and to set our souls ablaze with His divine presence. Are you ready to receive? Let's begin. To open your heart is to step into a space of vulnerability and trust, where the barriers of fear, doubt, and past experiences begin to dissolve. It is not an easy task, especially when life has conditioned you to guard yourself, to protect your emotions, and to shield your soul from the possibility of pain. Yet true healing and transformation can only begin when you allow yourself to be open, completely, and without reservation. Many of us walk through life carrying burdens we were never meant to bear alone. The weight of past disappointments, betrayals, and wounds hardens our hearts, creating walls that keep out not only the pain, but also the very love and healing that could restore us. God does not force His way in. He waits for you to make a choice. The choice to surrender, to trust, to let go of control, and to create space for Him to move within you. Your heart is the gateway to your deepest self. It is where your faith, your love, and your spiritual connection reside. When you open your heart, you invite divine energy to flow freely, to touch the areas that have been wounded, and to breathe life into places that have felt empty. God's presence is always available, but it is your openness that determines how deeply you can receive it. Just as sunlight cannot enter a room with closed curtains, God's healing light requires access. Fear is what keeps the heart closed. Fear of being hurt again, fear of disappointment, fear of losing what little control you feel you have. But what if the very thing you are afraid of losing is what is keeping you from something greater? What if the walls you have built to protect yourself are the same walls that have imprisoned you? The moment you allow yourself to be vulnerable in God's presence is the moment you step into the freedom He has always intended for you. Opening your heart is an act of faith. It means trusting in something beyond what you can see, beyond what you can logically understand. It means believing that even if you have been let down by people, by circumstances, or even by your own past decisions, God's love remains constant and unshaken. It is not dependent on your worthiness, but on His nature. His love does not waver, and His healing is not reserved for the perfect. It is for the broken, the weary, and the ones who feel lost. Pain has a way of making us cautious. When you have been wounded, you become hesitant to trust, hesitant to believe, hesitant to hope. But the deeper truth is that healing does not happen in isolation. Healing happens in surrender. It happens when you acknowledge that you cannot do it alone. It happens when you lay down your burdens and allow divine grace to take over. God's presence is like a river, always flowing, always moving, always ready to cleanse and restore. But you must step into it. You must choose to immerse yourself in His love, to let it wash over you, to let it reach the deepest parts of your soul. It is not enough to stand at the edge, dipping your toes in cautiously. Healing requires full immersion. It requires a willingness to be transformed, to release the past, and to allow something new to take its place. When you open your heart, you are not just inviting healing, you are inviting purpose. You are allowing God to use your pain for something greater, to turn your wounds into wisdom and your struggles into strength. There is no wasted pain in God's hands. Every tear, every hardship, every moment of suffering can be transformed when you allow divine energy to work within you. Faith is not about having all the answers. It is about trusting even when you don't understand. It is about believing that even in the midst of uncertainty, God is working behind the scenes, aligning things in your favor and preparing you for something far greater than what you have lost. A closed heart resists this process, clinging to what is known, even if it is painful. An open heart allows God to move freely, to guide you, to shape you, and to bring you into a new season of growth and renewal. Your heart is not meant to be a fortress. It is meant to be a vessel of love, of faith, of divine power. The more you allow yourself to open, the more you will experience the fullness of what God has for you. The walls you have built are not protecting you. They are preventing you from stepping into the abundance that has been waiting for you all along. God does not ask for perfection. He asks for openness. He asks for a heart that is willing, a spirit that is receptive, and a mind that is ready to trust. The healing you seek is already available. The peace you long for is already within reach. The love that can restore everything is already surrounding you. The only question is, will you open your heart and let it in? Releasing the burden is one of the most difficult yet liberating choices a person can make. The weight of past mistakes, disappointments, and emotional scars often lingers far longer than the actual events that caused them. Many people carry burdens they were never meant to bear, holding on to pain as if it defines them, as if letting go means losing a part of themselves. But the truth is, holding on to these burdens only keeps you stuck, preventing you from stepping into the freedom and healing that God has already prepared for you. Pain has a way of embedding itself deep within the soul, manifesting as resentment, anxiety, and even physical exhaustion. The human mind replays past wounds like a never-ending loop, convincing you that if you keep thinking about what happened, you might somehow change it. But no amount of overthinking can alter the past. What happened is done. What was lost is gone. But what remains is the power to decide what you will carry forward and what you will finally release. The Son, God never intended for you to live weighed down by the past. His design for you is freedom. Freedom from guilt, freedom from bitterness, freedom from the chains of unforgiveness. Yet so many people struggle to surrender their pain because they feel justified in holding on to it. The betrayal was real. The loss was devastating. The injustice was unfair. But carrying that burden does not correct the past. It only prolongs your suffering. The moment you decide to release it is the moment you begin to heal. Trusting God to carry what you cannot is an act of faith. It requires you to believe that His plan is greater than your pain, that His wisdom extends beyond what you can see, and that He is always working for your good, even when you don't understand. Surrender is not a sign of weakness. It is a declaration of trust. It is saying, God, I give this to you because I know that you can handle what I cannot. Many people struggle to release their burdens because they fear what will happen if they do. They have carried pain for so long that it has become a part of their identity. Letting go feels like stepping into the unknown, like losing control. But in reality, holding onto pain does not give you control. It keeps you bound to the very thing you wish to escape. True strength is found in release, in the willingness to let God take what is too heavy for you to carry. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful forms of release. It is not about excusing what happened or pretending it didn't hurt. It is about freeing yourself from the grip of resentment. When you hold on to anger and bitterness, you are the one who suffers. The person who hurt you may not even be thinking about what they did, but you are carrying the weight of it every day. Forgiveness is for you. It is a way of saying, I refuse to let this pain define me anymore. Releasing the burden also means letting go of self-judgment. Many people carry the weight of their own past mistakes, unable to forgive themselves. But if God has already forgiven you, who are you to withhold forgiveness from yourself? You are not meant to live in a constant state of regret. Every mistake, every failure, every wrong turn was already accounted for in God's plan. His grace is greater than your shortcomings, and His love does not waver because of your imperfections. There is a peace that comes with surrender, a lightness that replaces the heaviness of pain. It does not mean the memories disappear or that the scars fade overnight, but it does mean that you no longer have to be controlled by them. You are not your past. You are not your wounds. You are a child of God, created to walk in freedom, to live in purpose, and to experience joy beyond the pain. Imagine what your life would feel like without the weight of what you've been carrying. Imagine waking up without the burden of resentment, without the pressure of trying to fix what has already happened. Imagine moving forward unchained, unburdened, fully present in the life God has called you to live. That freedom is available to you the moment you decide to release what is holding you back. God's hands are open, ready to take what is too heavy for you. But He will not force it from you. You must be willing to place it in His hands, to trust that He will take care of what you no longer need to carry. The choice is yours. You can continue holding on to the burden, or you can step into the peace that comes with release. The fire of transformation begins with surrender. It is in the moments of deepest pain, struggle, and uncertainty that the opportunity for true change arises. There is something powerful about the trials you endure, the challenges that test your faith, and the storms that shake your foundation. These moments are not meant to break you. They are meant to awaken something within you. A divine fire that burns away everything that no longer serves you, leaving behind only what is true, what is pure, and what is strong. Pain often has a way of clouding your vision, making it difficult to see beyond your current circumstances. You can feel like you are stuck, like there is no way forward, like the weight of your struggles is too much to bear. But what if the very thing that feels like a burden is actually the spark that ignites something greater within you? Fire is both destructive and transformative. It consumes, but it also refines. Gold is purified in fire, its impurities burned away until only its purest form remains. In the same way, the trials you face have the power to refine you, to burn away doubt, fear, and limitation, and to reveal the strength, resilience, and faith that were always within you. God allows certain challenges not to punish you, but to prepare you. He knows what is ahead. He sees the version of you that is ready to walk in His purpose, to fulfill the calling on your life, and to move in divine power. But to become that version of yourself, something has to shift. Something has to break away. The old ways of thinking, the old fears, the old wounds, these things cannot come with you into the new season God has prepared for you. And so He allows the fire, not to destroy you, but to transform you. The fire of transformation is not comfortable. It challenges everything you thought you knew. It requires you to let go of control, to release old habits, to trust even when you cannot see what is ahead. But in that fire, something powerful happens. The parts of you that were once weak become strong. The things that once held you back lose their grip. The pain that once defined you becomes the testimony of your victory. There is nothing that God allows you to go through that He does not intend to use for your growth, your strength, and your destiny. Many people resist the fire because they fear the discomfort, the uncertainty, the loss of what is familiar. But what if everything you have been praying for is on the other side of that fire? What if the healing, the breakthrough, the transformation you seek requires you to walk through the very thing you have been avoiding? Growth does not happen in comfort. It happens in the stretching, in the refining, in the moments where you have no choice but to trust God completely. Faith is not just about believing when things are easy. It is about standing firm when everything around you is shifting. It is about trusting that even in the fire, you are not alone. God is with you, guiding you, strengthening you, preparing you. He does not remove every challenge because He knows that some things must be burned away for you to step into who you were created to be. The old version of you cannot carry the new blessings He has in store. The transformation must happen first. When you embrace the fire, instead of fearing it, something shifts. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You begin to ask, what is God preparing me for? Instead of focusing on what is being lost, you start to see what is being gained. Your perspective changes, and with it, your entire experience of the situation shifts. You start resisting, you start allowing God to work through you. There is a fire inside you that is waiting to be ignited, a passion, a purpose, a divine energy that has been placed within you for a reason. The trials you face are not meant to put out that fire, they are meant to fuel it. Every challenge is an opportunity to grow stronger, to trust deeper, to rise higher. The fire does not come to destroy you. It comes to transform you into everything you were always meant to be. Faith is the foundation of transformation. It is the invisible force that connects you to the divine, the bridge between where you are and where God is calling you to be. Without faith, the weight of life's struggles can feel unbearable. Without faith, doubt seeps in, fear takes over, and you begin to question your purpose. But when faith becomes your anchor, nothing can shake you. No storm, no hardship, no setback can pull you away from the path that God has set before you. Faith is not about seeing, it is about knowing. It is about trusting in something greater than yourself. Believing in the unseen and walking forward even when you do not have all the answers. It is in the moments of uncertainty, the moments when nothing makes sense, that faith is truly tested. Anyone can believe when things are going well, when prayers are answered quickly, when doors open without resistance. But real faith is proven in the waiting, in the silence, in the moments when nothing seems to be happening. God does not work on human timelines. He does not rush because we are impatient, nor does He delay without reason. Everything He does is intentional. Every waiting season, every closed door, every unanswered prayer serves a greater purpose. But in the middle of it, when you are still waiting, when you are still hoping, when you are still holding on, faith is what keeps you standing. It is what reminds you that just because you do not see movement does not mean that God is not working. There is power in believing before the breakthrough comes, in declaring victory while you are still in the battle, in praising before the blessing arrives. This kind of faith shifts your perspective. It moves you from fear to trust, from doubt to confidence, from stress to peace. When you operate in faith, you begin to see challenges differently. Instead of obstacles, you see opportunities. Instead of delays, you see divine preparation. Instead of rejection, you see redirection. Faith changes the way you experience life because it reminds you that God is always in control. But faith is not passive. It is not just about waiting. It is about moving forward even when you do not have all the answers. Faith requires action. It requires you to step out even when the path is unclear, to take risks even when you do not know the outcome, to keep going even when everything inside of you wants to quit. Faith is obedience. It is trusting God enough to do what He asks, even when it does not make sense, even when it is uncomfortable, even when it stretches you beyond what you think you can handle. There will be moments when your faith is tested, when everything in your life seems to be going wrong, when you start to wonder if God even hears you. These moments are not signs that God has abandoned you. They are opportunities for your faith to grow. Just as muscles grow through resistance, faith grows through trials. The stronger your faith, the less you are shaken by external circumstances. You learn to stand firm, to trust deeply, to keep believing even when nothing around you gives you a reason to. Faith is also the key to receiving what God has promised. The Bible says that without faith, it is impossible to please God. Not because He withholds blessings from those who doubt, but because faith is what positions you to receive. When you believe, you align yourself with God's will. You open yourself up to possibilities beyond what you can imagine. You step into a flow of divine provision, guidance, and favor that cannot be accessed through doubt. Fear and faith cannot exist in the same space. One will always overpower the other. Fear keeps you stuck, makes you second guess, fills your mind with worst case scenarios. Faith sets you free. It gives you the courage to take bold steps, to trust in the unknown, to believe that something greater is ahead. Every time you choose faith over fear, you grow stronger. Every time you trust God despite your circumstances, you move closer to the breakthrough that has already been written for you. Faith is not just believing in God's power, it is believing that His power is working in your life. It is trusting that even when things feel out of control, God is still in control. It is knowing that no matter what happens, you are being led, guided, and protected by a force greater than anything in this world. Faith is what allows you to move through life with confidence, with peace, with the unwavering belief that you are exactly where you are meant to be. There is a divine fire that God places within each of us, a fire that is meant to guide, strengthen, and transform. This fire is not meant to be dimmed by fear, doubt, or the weight of past experiences. It is meant to burn brightly, to ignite purpose and to push you beyond the limitations you have placed on yourself. But too often, this fire is buried under the burdens of life, hidden beneath the pain of disappointment, loss, and uncertainty. The weight of struggles can make you forget that this fire even exists, making you believe that you are powerless, that you are alone, that your purpose has been lost. God does not give you a fire only to let it burn out. He does not place a calling on your life only to leave you without the strength to walk in it. But the fire within you must be stirred, fed, and protected. Just as a flame needs oxygen, your soul needs renewal. It needs prayer, faith, and the unwavering belief that God is not done with you. Every setback, every delay, every closed door is not a sign that you have been forgotten, but a reminder that the fire within you is still there, waiting to rise again. There are moments in life when you feel disconnected, when the passion you once had fades, when the excitement for what is ahead turns into uncertainty. It is easy to get caught up in the distractions of the world, to let fear control your decisions, to let doubt whisper lies into your mind. But when you allow God to move within you, when you invite Him to reignite the fire in your soul, everything shifts. Your perspective changes, your heart opens, and you begin to see that what once seemed impossible is not only possible, but already in motion. God's fire is not just for moments of inspiration. It is meant to sustain you through the trials of life. It is meant to carry you through the nights of doubt, the days of struggle, the seasons of waiting. It is not a fire that flickers when the wind blows. It is a fire that stands strong, that grows in the face of adversity, that cannot be extinguished by the challenges you face. But you must be willing to fan the flame, to believe that what God has placed within you is greater than any obstacle in front of you. This fire does not come from the world. It does not come from material success, from external validation, from fleeting moments of happiness. It comes from within, from the connection to something greater, from the deep understanding that you are here for a reason. The world will try to make you forget this. It will try to distract you with fear, with comparison, with the pressure to fit into expectations that do not align with your purpose. But when you focus on the fire within, when you allow God to be the source of your strength, you become unshakable. There will always be voices that tell you to settle, that convince you to dim your light, that make you question your worth. But God's fire is not meant to be hidden. It is meant to shine, to illuminate your path, to serve as a reminder that you are never walking alone. Every time you choose faith over fear, every time you trust in God's plan, even when you do not understand it, the fire within you grows stronger. It becomes a force that cannot be ignored, a light that cannot be dimmed, a power that moves you forward even when everything around you tells you to stop. The fire of God is not limited by circumstances. It is not dependent on what the world says is possible. It is not weakened by past mistakes, by moments of doubt, by seasons of struggle. It is always there, waiting to be awakened, waiting to be embraced. But you must be willing to let go of what is holding you back. You must be willing to step into the unknown, to trust in what you cannot yet see, to believe that God is working even when you feel nothing. When God's fire touches your soul, everything changes. Your fears lose power, your doubts begin to fade, your faith takes root in a way that cannot be shaken. You no longer rely on what the world says is possible because you know that with God, nothing is impossible. You no longer shrink in the face of challenges because you know that the fire within you is greater than anything that stands against you. This fire is not just for moments of inspiration. It is for every single day. It is the force that carries you, the strength that sustains you, the power that reminds you that you were never meant to walk this journey alone. When God touches your heart, it is not just a fleeting moment of comfort or a temporary relief from your struggles. It is a deep, transformative encounter that shifts the way you see yourself, the world, and His presence in your life. There are wounds that only He can heal, burdens that only He can lift, and fears that only He can silence. When you invite God into your pain, when you allow Him to enter the places within you that have been broken, you begin to experience a restoration that no human effort could achieve. Pain can harden a person. It can make you defensive, guarded, afraid to trust, afraid to hope again. When life has disappointed you, when people have let you down, when dreams have crumbled before your eyes, it is easy to retreat into yourself. You build walls, you hide your true feelings, you convince yourself that if you stop expecting good things, you will not be hurt again. But God does not want you to live in that place. He does not want you to settle for a life where your heart is closed off, where you are surviving instead of thriving, where you carry wounds that were never meant to stay. God does not just see the surface version of you that the world sees. He sees the hidden struggles, the silent prayers, the moments when you cry out in frustration or exhaustion. He sees the days when you are tired of fighting, the nights when you wonder if things will ever change. He sees the moments when you put on a brave face even when you are hurting inside. And He is not distant. He is not watching from afar, indifferent to your pain. He is right there, waiting for you to open your heart, to let Him in, to let Him touch the places within you that need His healing. There is nothing too broken for God to restore. No pain is too deep. No mistake is too big. No past is too dark for Him to redeem. The enemy wants you to believe that your struggles disqualify you, that your pain makes you unworthy, that your past defines your future. But God's love is greater than anything you have been through. His mercy is bigger than your failures. His healing is stronger than any wound you have carried. When you surrender to Him, when you bring your brokenness to Him, instead of trying to handle it alone, you position yourself for a transformation that only He can bring. Healing does not always happen the way you expect. Sometimes God removes the pain instantly, lifting the burden in a way that feels miraculous. Other times, healing is a process, a journey that requires faith, patience, and trust. But no matter how it happens, one thing remains true. God is working. Even when you do not feel it, even when you do not see immediate results, He is working. There are things He is rearranging in your life, doors He is opening, lessons He is teaching, all leading you to the wholeness He desires for you. You may have spent years carrying pain that was never meant to define you. You may have walked through seasons where you questioned if you would ever feel joy again. But when God touches your heart, when He places His holy fire within you, everything begins to shift. Your pain no longer controls you. Your past no longer limits you. The lies that once told you that you were not enough begin to fade, replaced by the truth of who you are in Him. God does not just want to heal you so you can feel better. He wants to heal you so you can step fully into the life He created you to live. He wants to heal you so that you can love again, dream again, trust again. He wants to heal you so that you can be a light to others, a testimony of His power, a living reminder that His grace is greater than any hardship. When you are touched by God, you do not remain the same. Your heart softens, your perspective shifts, your soul awakens. There is nothing too lost that God cannot find. There is no wound too deep that He cannot heal. There is no pain too great that He cannot carry. You were never meant to bear your burdens alone. You were never meant to navigate life without the guidance of His hand. When you release your pain to Him, when you trust Him with the deepest parts of your soul, you allow Him to do what only He can do. He will restore, renew, and ignite a fire within you that nothing in this world can put out.